Hello and welcome to Daily Film episode 37. I'm your host Dominic Parry, and with today is
James McQueen.
So in this episode we're going to be talking about the now Oscar-winning Nomadland, directed by Chloe Zhao, and featuring Frances McDormand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
McDormand.
Yeah. James, what do you think about this film?
I really liked Nomadland. It's a road trip film through and through. That I only on retrospect, is it a docu-film
I think, like you,
where Frances McDormand is role playing?
you watched this film before I did.
Yeah.
The only film from the Oscars I watched was The Father, which after watching this, I think should have won still. This film, the reason I got bored of it very, very quickly, and that's not me being like it's a shit film. It's just that it wasn't interesting to me, you know.
It's a very meandering road trip slice of life.
And
it's more of like an introspective
I
on
think,
somebody.
Weirdly, I would be more interested had it just been a straight up documentary. You know,
because these people are interesting.
Yeah, they're interesting, but like, just give me the facts. I don't need this weird, strange woman who's just kind of a nobody.
But you mean a nomad?
Yeah, that too. I don't know. I found it. I found it to be very like. I hate to use the word boring, but it's
very meandering.
Yeah, it was. It didn't grasp. It doesn't grasp my.
It's a very
intrigue.
episodic film.
I'm not joking, but this is a film where like it was. You know, when you're just like, fucking hell, this is going on for a while, isn't it? And you look at the wrong time, you're like, bloody hell, I'm only 20 minutes in. That's what this film felt like.
Yeah, and I think it's only now that I've realised, oh, she's called Fran because of Frances McDormand.
That's why I think
and it's like they're all named after their real names.
That's why I think it would have been better just to have a documentary, because all the other films at the Oscars that got nominated were really films.
Like they were.
Yeah, they were like. Yeah,
the only thing that separates this from being a documentary is the cinematography.
But even then, that the cinematography could be in a documentary. I mean, think about it, like David Attenborough documentaries look really nice. Like
but that's sort of like film that's soap opera 8K 60
I know,
FPS.
but like let's just looking at this though, it could have easily been a really interesting documentary. You get all the facts about these nomads, because honestly, the bits where it was like the actual nomads saying like why they do it, like the veteran guy, I was more intrigued by that than any of the other stuff. Like, let's hear these people's stories in a documentary format, interview them, get their side of the story. Why do they do it? How do they think? What do they think about it? What issues they face? What positives are there? All that kind of thing. But we don't get that. We just kind of get this weird... It focuses on her too much, I think.
And that's the point. It's all her perspective, because we are her, she is us. But I think it's also like... I understand why Chloe Zhao won Best Director. I completely do, because it's like...
Directing, yeah.
Because it's like she's getting genuine performances, which I think is a bit manipulative, but I understand why they weren't. Okay, they are real nomads. Okay, they are real people. That's sort of half cheating. But then you can't say they're acting because I think when the white guy looks like Father Christmas, the leader of those nomads, when he talks about his son. That hesitation and choking up is so real. That's not acting. That's real.
Yeah, this is the issue. It's like, I'm probably going to reference The Father quite a bit. The Father is, Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Mark Gatiss, and it's them acting. Like, sure, they're playing characters, but they're acting still. These were people being people. Just happened to be acting for a film. It's like, it was clear that they hadn't written these lines. So even though it says written for the screen or whatever by her, it wasn't really written for the screen by her.
Anything with solely Frances McDormand was.
Yeah, but then she has barely any dialogue on her own.
I mean, she does have the shits. I mean, that...
Yeah, but that's like... Even that was like, well, I don't really want to see that. Like, that's not interesting,
Yeah, like... it's just one of those things, like... I get where she got directing because she managed to make convincing, realistic interactions between these people real. But then it just says it's literally. But I think then again, I think it's just like be yourself.
Look, right, yeah. So the thing when we were talking about earlier, the 317 to Paris or whatever.
Yeah.
The one about the terrorist attack, the guys on the train who saved it, and it was the Clint Eastwood film, and he used the real life people, and it was shit because they couldn't act. And the problem was, it was clear that he had asked them, and they had gone, "Oh yeah," and they took it as acting. These people in Nomadland are just being themselves, and that's the issue because they're not acting; they're just being themselves. It's like,
oh, when Swanky, she's the only one that was probably the most acting in that film, or her friend at the beginning of the film, because those are the only ones. Because it's like they, and even then, but I will say,
that's it. Yeah, the friend. There's the friend at the start who has the kids. They're probably like this. They're probably the only ones really who are actors because there's no reason for them to be real people. There's nothing.
Or like nomads with acting.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, I don't think you can be an actor and a nomad. That kind of.
Well, I mean, she was, but that's the whole thing. We meet Fran at the beginning of the film, and she's just lost everything.
Yeah.
Who had no intention that things would go this way, and is now suddenly homeless. But I like that line. I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless. I think that's if one line defines the entire film, it's that it's not homeless.
That's
she's
the
houseless.
thing is, it's like I think I said earlier about how I can get how maybe to an American audience this would be really interesting, but to me, it has absolutely no relevance to anything. I don't care for it. Like, none of this matters to me in any way. Whereas films like The Father and Judas and the Black Messiah, they are dealing with something that, like, they're tangible things. They're in the world, and they're not bound to one place. Whereas Nomads, this film is a very like middle America film.
Yeah.
It is a thing of like, if I don't have any connection to this, like you could set this film in Australia. You could, outback Australia. But even then, it might be more interesting because it's like dealing with the heat and all that stuff.
I think Mark Commode said it, but I'll say it too. But like, there's no villain, or no antagonist.
That's what I was thinking the whole film. I was thinking, what is this film? Because at points it's like, is there a love interest thing? And it's like, okay. Then there's the teenager guy, the guy who's 22 turns up twice. It's like, okay, but she reads a poem, which is all nice, but it's nothing. That's the problem. It's not like wow, I'm so shocked by that revealing performance.
It was a revealing performance, though, wasn't it? Francis McDormand.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
Won the Oscar though, probably worth it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not trying to hate on this film.
No.
I feel bad hating on films unless it's lost in translation. But it is a film that I did struggle to watch because it's just.
I think also it's just like I think with Nomadland, like I don't know. I like that whole thing. There's no antagonist. It's like the ultimate answer is that people aren't inherently bad. People are good. People want to be like, and that's the thing. Like how like you can do one thing, and okay. So you have like the guy with the firelighter. She lends out his firelighter, gives it to him.
Yeah.
And he uses it, and then he sees her again. Sees her again. He gives her a new one. And then it goes into the I forgot his name, but like Father Christmas, literally at the most like choking up moments in the film. It's like he even says that I see them again. He says I like this life because I see them again.
I sent you a message saying about how like the directing's good, but I don't get the hype. And that was literally just before that scene.
I think it's because of how unusual it actually is.
I think the problem is that scene would be so incredibly heartbreaking in a documentary.
Yeah.
And we get a bit more of his story because we don't get anything. That's all we get. We get a snippet, and it's like, I want more. That's the problem. I don't care for her in any way. She doesn't. I have no connection to her in any way. I don't care that she lost her imaginary husband. I don't care that she lost her imaginary job, because she's not real. The other people are. Tell me about those people, not this fake character.
Who is based off somebody, but it's not. Yeah, like, you'd be more interested in the actual person who lost her husband and went on this life.
A documentary film following Frances McDormand talking to the nomads, going around interviewing them, getting a slice of their life.
Yeah.
Living like them to get to get close to them. Stuff like that. That would be more interesting.
I think definitely this film's gonna like. I don't know what it's like. Not sort of advertise them in some sort of way, and I don't mean that like set up everything and hit the road, or like, oh, it's all right, you just need a financial crisis to hit you. But that's the thing. This is set in 2012.
I didn't know that. I honestly didn't.
Yeah, it's part of the financial crisis, and
yeah.
And that's why. So they are acting. They are placed in this situation because remember, it was in 2012. We were watching YouTube videos on our iPhone, on our big widescreen iPhones. Or when Amazon will all using Amazon Prime.
But I will say one thing. I don't think the people are acting. The real life nomads, I don't think they're acting as it's 2012. Look, the guy who said it would have been his 33rd birthday. The Father Christmas who says about his son.
That's not relevant to 2012.
That's not relevant to 2012 because it doesn't matter that he.
It could be 1928. It could be the far future. It doesn't matter.
Look, him saying he's a real man. Him going, my son would have been 33 today. That's a great documentary bit where it's like they happen to get him on his birthday.
I do think we're going to see more, specifically him. I think we're going to see more of him in now because it's such an interesting. I'm really surprised. Like specifically him, he has his own documentary series and a few.
I do think a documentary would be far more interesting.
I bet you National Geographic, because Disney and Searchlight. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like some sort of like documentary explaining all of this. Like in more detail.
But I don't know what to say about this film.
I think it does the realistic acting with Frances McDormand. I think that's why she wins. Like that's the whole point. It's like it feels a bit too real. Like nobody has like big confrontation. It's like when like people argue. Like we were watching Black Books. Like when people argue, have a big argument, proper falling out, and somebody leaves and all that.
Yeah.
Then next few days they just come back and you don't say sorry. No, neither party says sorry. No, it's just like they just get back onto normal because they're just happy to be there.
I just find this film
I think it's
infuriating because of how I just I do think it could be so much better as a documentary, and I don't watch documentaries, but when I do watch a documentary, right, I like a lot of the time, you can kind of tell how good it is if you're invested in it, if you're drawn in, that's great. This one, I feel like it might have drawn me in more had it been about the guys and the people, who deal with this in real life instead of this fictional. Obviously, yes, she's based on a true person, but she isn't. She's not a true person. She's a character. Like, look, you can have a character based on me and something, but if it's not me, it's not me.
Yeah,
that's the simplest thing. So yes, it's based on someone, but it's not her. So I think that's the issue. It's like, had it been the real life one, and it's a documentary about her or him. I'm not sure. Obviously, you don't know what the source material is, but just if it was the actual story, the true story of what happened, I'd be far more interested.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to hate on this film. I'm just trying to hate on how this film is. Like,
I do think for Chloe Zhao, like, it is definitely like she's not going to be some indie darling now after this.
no, the thing is, it's like she's directing Eternals, big movie. We could have a whole massive discussion about that, but this is a discussion about Nomadland. So
I do think, because actually I know it's going to tie into Eternals and like how she's going to go from here.
Yeah,
like it definitely makes me think that like she's the sort of director who does this sort of weird thing. I think she's like one of like she would do some like big weird like insanity. I think she's capable of like true insanity on like a more traditional film sense. Like she's doing that like Dracula set in the future thing.
yeah.
That's such a weird story, like weird thing, and I think she's willing to do like weird and bombastic.
But look,
because of how weird Nomadland is.
I think the problem is you can take something that is completely boring. All right, I'm not talking about Dracula. You could have a film about a baker, and make it the most interesting thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The problem is, if I go and write a film about bakers, and then it's Dom's playing lead baker, who is not an actual baker, but every other character
is a
baker. It's not It's not interesting. The other bakers are really more. They're the people you're watching for, and that's the problem. I don't care for the lead of this film.
And what I love about this film, I actually do love this words from those. The sentimentality of how we hold things.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like like how a car boot set, and how people just genuinely like say, "Oh, here's a can opener. Mine's bigger. Yours is better for mine. This one do more for you."
Yeah.
No money, obviously, because he got no money. But it's just like, you have this, I have that one. And like when David takes the box out of the van and all the plates smash on the floor.
I think he's an actor as well, isn't he?
Because he has quite a bit of acting moments.
I think so the family at the end are actors, obviously. And he's an actor,
Yeah, the family at the end, like with the whole house and her sister or something.
Yeah, they're all actors.
Yeah, they're all local actors.
But it's a thing. I think that's an issue of like you're blending it too much.
It's a very weird film. I think this film's a lot more weird than it initially looks.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did. Well, actually, I didn't. But
it's not a traditional film.
Look, I didn't. Lost in Translation and Blues Brothers 2000. I absolutely hate those films. Okay, Lost in Translation is probably the closest thing I can reference for this one, because it's meandering. It's all about a human story. It's all about this. And the weirdest thing is, this film, the only reason it kept me interested was because of the real people.
Like, that doesn't mean, but the sentimentality of objects. Like when that car boot set, every object had a story. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you got that sense and that wonder of like, because I remember watching an interview with her and the guy who's in the Lion King sequel.
John Favreau.
No, someone else.
I don't know.
He did another film. Oh,
it's just a lot of
basically they'll just talk about their most recent films, and he's doing the Lion King sequel. And she kept on saying because now she's working on bigger films. Now. She says world building is her absolute favorite thing.
Right, Chloe
Zhao said world building, like actually like talking to the production designers and making sure everything is relevant. Everything actually has like purpose and even has its own story. And you do get that set. Yeah, they're probably real objects, obviously. But even then, it still feels like we made sure there was like one can opener on this, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like
I think,
and that's the sort of stuff I think where again, there's a reason why this wasn't a writer gets a nominate. This film would not have been nominated for writing.
No.
But directing,
for best adaptation, The Father won. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean the Father kind of cheats because it is the same guy who did the original.
So technically, is it an original screenplay?
I mean, no, but it's
it is.
But
it
look,
isn't. It's a halfway.
This here, if this is counted as an adaptation, it could be extremely accurate, but in my eyes,
Yeah.
it's just too nothing. Like, look, there are memoirs all over the world. Millions of people have memoirs, right? They have their own little biography or whatever, you know. They've got these things that tell you about their lives. They tell you, oh, this happened and that happened, right? But it's just the point of not everyone's story needs to be told.
Yeah.
And I think that is the problem with this film. I would care more about the real people.
But do you care about the real people because you see it through the eyes of a fictional one?
No, I think I just find it more interesting. Like the guy, the veteran saying like he lives out there because he can't deal with all the people and the loud noises and stuff. It's like that's an interesting thing. I'd like to hear more about that.
And I like, yeah.
And the Father Christmas guy, I'd like to learn more about him and his life.
He seems like one of the most interesting people.
But the problem is, it's like, oh, here's a 2-second clip of them, and then back to her. It's like, what's she doing in this scene that is actually relevant to me? She picks up litter for about a fucking minute, and that's not me being harsh, but let's be truthful. I don't need to see her picking up litter for a minute.
I suppose it's the whole thing with like Blade Runner.
This is right.
It's the whole thing like we are living with this person. Yeah, they might be picking up litter, but they're picking up litter because that's all they're doing that day. I think
that's the thing. I don't want to be like that's.
But that's the thing. It doesn't matter what you want. Remember, if the audience knew what it wanted, they would be the artist.
But look, this film here is if it was a documentary, I'd be extremely interested. But it's not. It's a docudrama, to be truthful.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is, right, it's just nothing happens in it. Like, I don't know what the story was.
What's the story of somebody finding purpose living on the road when she's lost everything?
Yes,
that's literally the story.
Yes, but I don't care.
Well, then that's on you.
That's the thing. It's like I think the issue is the fact that she's playing against real people who are infinitely more interesting than her character. Like, it just is.
But we're seeing somebody at the start of her nomad journey. She will become like these people. That's what the film even suggests at the ending of her when she goes back to her home and it's completely empty. It's like she doesn't even recognise her own home that she used to think that she held on to for so long.
See, look, to put it in a simple way, a film style that is like weirdly the closest film style to this is the same style as like Borat, where it's featuring real people, and it's a character interacting with real people, and it's just the fact that think about it, which is more interesting?
Borat exposing the racism in America.
It's because Borat. All right, I know it's ridiculous, but Borat does shit. It's not just she's a passive protagonist in this film, pretty much. Yeah. I would happily say that, and that's the issue because there are other real people in this film, and she's not one of them. Like, look, I'm not joking, right? Had this been like the 317 or whatever the fuck it was, had it been like that, and it was her story, she lived this.
And they're recounting
it, and it's her, and like do some fourth wall break stuff where she talks about it, like properly use the real life people.
What, like Fleabag?
No, like a documentary. You know, where they have little interview, like talking head bits, saying about how they were at this time.
It's not that she's horrible, it's just that she's an absolute.
Look, I feel like I've been harsh on this film, but I have to be honest. So
it's definitely like who was more deserving of the award, or is it going to be Frances McDormand or Chloe Zhao, or the best film? Which one was the more deserving? I think Chloe Zhao.
I think Chloe definitely deserved it. I do not think that this film deserved the best. This is not.
I think the reason why it won Best Picture is it goes against the traditional.
The issue you have to look at. Right, this film is in the same category as Parasite. That film is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
This film is not. I'm not hating on it like that. There are some people.
Because it
There
goes
are some
against it.
people who are going to absolutely love this. Some people are going to find it really, really heartbreaking. They're really going to connect to it.
It's not a heartbreak. I wouldn't say it's a
just
heartbreaking story.
I know, but people who are connected to the Nomad scene.
Yeah, okay.
But
fair.
I'm not one of those people, and I never will be, and that's the issue.
But I don't see how this is a heartbreak. Because if you're a nomad, you'd be like, yes, they're actually showing this lifestyle in a positive light.
Is it a positive light? I wouldn't want to live that lifestyle. Like, that's the thing.
Well, yeah, because they ultimately say that they're good people.
They're good people,
Yeah,
but it's
like
a
like Schitt's Creek. In Schitt's Creek, let's bring it back to another comedy franchise.
Sure.
Like, the whole joke is when they go to attack the new town, and it's like a little Midwestern Canadian town. The joke would be, they're all idiots. They're village idiots. They're town idiots. They're townies. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But all the jokes, you think they'll be backward because like David isn't straight and like just stuff like that. Do you think that you'd be at like some form of it? No. All the jokes in really from the class difference is on the Rose family.
It's on the main characters.
It's on the main characters because they come from high privilege.
They're looking down on people.
It's not even looking down. It's just like that absurdist lifestyles clashing.
I just think that this film. I just it is an issue of like looking at it in comparison to. I know you shouldn't look at it in comparison to previous winners, but I can't having watched Parasite now twice. I will never watch this film again.
Parasite,
I don't care.
Another 20 times.
I watch that film a plenty more times because it is absolutely packed
of this detail.
This film's just like I was bored. This was the first. This was not. It's not the first one actually. Like Blues Brothers and Lost in Translation, but this is I think now the third film that I've considered. Like if I was watching this alone, I would have turned it off. I just didn't. It just didn't connect with me in any way, and that's the issue.
No, that's fair.
Like, I get the idea that it's not for me, but this film won Best Picture, and I think honestly, if it wins Best Picture, which means it's the Best Picture, I think it should be a kind of you can watch this film, anyone can watch this film. Parasite, I think, is like that. I think was it Green Book won it, wasn't it? Green Book. As much as I do have little issues with that film, it is a film that's accessible to anyone.
Yeah.
So, this film, look, I would go and see Green Book. I'd go see Parasite. I'm going to see The Father in cinema. I'm not going to go see this.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would probably end up falling asleep in the cinema if I want to see this, and I feel harsh for saying that. That's the thing, because I don't want to be harsh about it, but I've just got to be truthful.
That's fair.
But yeah, I've had my rant about why this should be a documentary instead of a film. But yeah, it's the 37th episode, and yeah, we're gonna maybe pump out another 3 episodes. Not right now, but because on the what would it be? I think it's the 30th of May, so 14 days from now, 2 weeks from now. That's the year anniversary from the first episode. So I'm not going to say it's episode 40 of Today in Film, but 3 more things to mark that occasion. See you then. Actually, wait a second. What do you rate this film out of 10?
8.5.
8.5. Okay, I'm gonna go about like 4. Just being nice. Look, I'm not gonna talk about that. I've already done my talking. So, see you next week, probably later this week, maybe. Who knows? And that'll be it.